come on up here. Okay, the presenters today won't bite except for the first one, so we'll be good. Well, I want to welcome you to our live in-service today. We've got quite a few topics to cover. The first thing is we want to talk about emergency preparedness, an all-hazards approach with a focus on fire and tornado. So this in-service today, we want it to be as informative for you as possible, okay? I believe that you'll leave here knowing more than you came knowing, so that's what an in-service should do for you. But we do have to get through a lot of information, so I encourage you, the questions that you have, and you will have some, please write them down or put them on your phone to ask later, okay? So that we can move through the information quickly. And if we do have time for Q&A at the end, then we'll do that then. I'm not sure that we will though, because we got a lot to pack into an hour here, so we're going to really get moving. Otherwise, come and visit with me. Feel free to come and visit with me after the meeting or any time to ask your questions, and we'll make sure to respond to those as well as we can. Okay, well, we're going to get right into this. First, we do have a little safety slogan game that the safety committee and I came up with to get us started. So the next slide, I'm going to tell you about it before we go there, because it is a scrambled safety slogan. So you're going to have some words that aren't words up there. They're going to be scrambled. So the way this is going to work is the first person to figure it out, raise your hand, and I'll call on you like we're in school. And the first person to figure out what the slogan is going to get a $5 Sonny's gift card. Okay? So this is our game to get us started. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and get us over to that slide, see what you guys can do. Right here.
Apply your attention to accident prevention.
Woo! Give her a hand. That is great. Pass that down to her. Good job, good. That's great.
Is it intention or attention?
Intention.
Okay.
Intention. Apply your intention to accident prevention. Very good. Well, we'll probably do that again sometime. I've actually got quite a few of these little phrases, and they're fun. But enjoy your $5 gift card. Good job. Good job. Okay. Well, we'll get right into our presentation here then. I do want to introduce kind of a new plan for our emergency disaster procedures. This is something that CMS came out with last year, the new or final rule that we had to come up with a new format for our emergency disaster procedures and manual and plan there. So I want to talk about that a little bit. An introduction to the plan is that emergency disaster procedures may be initiated for the following. And this isn't too far off from what it used to be, but fires obviously would be an emergency, tornadoes, floods, electrical power outages, explosions, bomb threats, hazardous material spills, or, and this is kind of the key to this as we move forward, any other situation that would warrant evacuation of the community in order to protect the lives and safety of residents and staff. So, we must now approach emergency preparedness with an all-hazards mindset. The goal here is to have a general guideline that is followed for all emergency disaster relief efforts. The plan still houses all of the specific policies. So we still have a tornado policy and procedure. We still have a fire evacuation procedure. So it still houses all the specific policies for emergency preparedness, but also includes now this all hazards approach. So the initiation of the emergency preparedness plan, the initiation of the plan can begin with any situation that is deemed to be an emergency and will require emergency response up to a full evacuation and triage. So we've kind of changed, instead of just having a book full of our policies, and this is what we do for every single thing, now we're saying we're going to approach all emergency situations with the same type of mindset, the same type of approach. we're going to look at it like, what would we do in case of any of these happen, instead of what do I do for this, what do I do for this, what do I do for this. So I hope that makes some sense. While contact for any emergency situation will be made with emergency response teams in our region for oversight and even control, we still need to know how we pursue emergencies as a standalone organization, and that is the premise or the idea of having this type of a plan. Okay, two important systems for communication, and all of you should know about these, but I want to just touch on them quickly here. Those two communication systems that we have are All PC Alert and the Phone Tree. Each of these programs are located on every facility computer, okay? Each of them can be found on the desktop of each of our facilities' computers, and we'll get a little more in depth as we move forward here. But All PC Alert is a cross-platform desktop, email, and SMS early warning system of emergency events. It provides communities with the tools needed to stay safe, alert, and in charge during emergency situations. This desktop alert system will notify all computers on the network with a single click, as well as certain team members who have that on their cell devices. Phone Tree, the other communication system we have in place, is a notification system that will contact a designated list of people for any given situation. There are saved messages for every emergency situation that you can simply select, and send save message is what that button is on the site, to all that are assigned to that list. This system is in place for notification of residents as well as specific staff members when there is a need for after-hours assistance. First, I want to look at a little bit more in depth our All PC Alert. We've had quite a few things come up since we started this, and really haven't done a lot of in-depth training, so I want to hit a few things here. Anytime All PC Alert is activated for an emergency, all PCs in the facility will receive a notification pop up at the bottom right corner of your screen. How many of you saw the state official on site today? Okay. Look closely at this notification, because they're pretty general. I mean, when you see state official on site, we automatically think state's here. But it wasn't a state, it's not KDAD's state survey here, but a state official was on site, so it's general. So pay attention to that. It will tell you what alarm is being activated, as well as the location of activation. So if we have, and some of them don't show location, but like an active shooter is going to tell you nursing department is where it was activated, or front desk is where it is activated, okay? This is especially important for those emergencies, like active shooter or suspicious person. Do not, and that's in capital letters, I know it's hard to see, but do not go toward the area of the facility where the alarm is being initiated in these cases. Obviously, if there is an active shooter, do you want to go toward the active shooter? You do not want to go toward the active shooter, okay? So that would be a no, Sam. That would be a no. Okay, that would be a no. Okay. So pay attention to not only what the alert is, so that you're not like, oh my gosh, there's an alert, I'm freaked out. What does it say? What does it say? And then you know how to proceed according to the policy that it indicates. Okay, the all clear button is present at each PC as well to be able to clear alarm when no longer required. Let's take a look at this PC desktop to give a visual. And what I'm saying is the PC that we're connected to with this projector. Just want everybody to be able to see this. So, All PC Alert is right here. All PC Alert, and it says state inspection. And then we have the All PC Alert evacuation, All PC Alert tornado, and the All PC Alert all clear. Okay, so that's how that. You don't want to click on these. Let me just say this is very important. Okay, you don't want to click on these unless that's what's happened. Okay, because it only takes one click and it'll send it out to everybody, right, Rachel? One click and it goes to everybody. Okay, so this isn't a place you can come and open them up and check them out and see what they look like. It's not like that. Okay, these are for our All PC Alert system. So know that they're not really to be tampered with. And you guys haven't done that. It's not like we have trouble with that, except for Rachel. So we're good.
Very loud.
Okay, I think we're good with that. Right, Rach? All right, here we go. Phone tree, okay. Phone tree really is for any emergency situation in which you need to contact a pre-selected group of individuals. That's what it's for, okay? So before we had the calling chain, okay, and we'd call one resident and congregate, and they'd call the next, and call the next. Okay, while that worked, sometimes it was difficult because then you had to keep updating that. So this is a system that takes the place of that and really keeps that a lot more contact there. So each emergency situation has its own saved message that can be sent with a few clicks on any computer. Key here is a charge nurses, after hours, or any individual on the management team that is facilitating an emergency situation should be in charge of getting that message sent out. Let's take a quick look at phone tree from this desktop as well. Phone tree right here, okay, and this one, I'm going to go ahead and open it up so I want you guys to see it. Once you click this link, it's going to automatically pull up our system here. And I hope you guys forgive me because I've had the fire marshal in the office all day. So give me a little break here, but you will not have to put this link I actually put on this computer, and our link includes the login information, okay? So if you ever have this problem, please let me know so that we don't have to worry about remembering a login for that. And hopefully this takes us there. Yes, okay. Good job. All right. So this is what this looks like. I just wanted, it's kind of hard to see maybe a little bit here, but this one is the all clear tornado. They're in alphabetical order here. This one is bomb threat, okay, elopement assistance. Now you can see these only have 3 numbers, and those are going to be contacting people in the community or supervisors that need to be communicated with about the bomb threat. So Keith and myself, I know we're on here. It might be one, I think one for the bomb threat there. Then fire evacuation, this would be for if you need help from the community to have people come in and help evacuate. This would be that list there. Fire false alarm also comes to a couple of us. A hostage situation. So each every emergency situation has its own saved message there. So it's pretty simple how that works. Anybody who's used it before understands. But for instance, the tornado warning, when we're ready to send that out to the residents, we would just select that one, come up to the actions for that, and we would say send saved message now. And that's what I was telling you guys about. That's the quote, send saved message. You don't have to go in and write a new message. It's already pre-saved for you. So you hit that and it'll automatically send that out. What happens with that is it will call all of the residents. Within 60 seconds it places the call. If they're not there, it will leave a message on their voicemail. Okay, that's how that works. So we're getting the communication out to everybody at once instead of trusting that they're going to share it with each other by calling a few. So that's how this system works. Okay, back out of this. And come back here. Okay. Well, I do want to transition now and talk more specifically about the tornado and the fire policies. This is the time of year where we need to start thinking about tornadoes. And we always need to be aware of fires within our facility. So I want to just start transitioning a little bit here. And so let's look at tornado watch. What do we do when we receive a notification that Reno County is under a tornado watch? There's really only a couple things to do here. We don't need to be too alarmed because how many times are we under a tornado watch in Reno County this time of the year? Kind of like from here all the way through the summer, it just happens all the time. So don't be too alarmed, but we do want to close our windows. We want to make sure the window coverings are closed, blinds are closed, curtains. And then we want to turn TV on to the local weather station and listen to the weather radio or scanner, okay? When information of a possible tornado and or severe thunderstorm warning has been received either by radio, scanner, or TV, the storm must be closely watched. However, keep calm and do not excite the residents. Pretty simple on that one. Tornado warning. I put the link here because I wanted to talk about this a little bit. One thing that we haven't hit yet, and I'd like to real quick here. Let's go back up to the desktop. Well, I thought I put it over here, and it's not here, but right here. I thought I put it with my links, but I didn't. On everybody's computer is located the Emergency Preparedness and Disaster Manual. Okay, and you can find that on any desktop. Okay, matter of fact, when we reload, just a little side note, when we reload a computer, it's in our domain that these four, that one, the SDS, they automatically get forwarded there. So every desktop should have those. Okay, but your Emergency Preparedness and Disaster Manual, instead of having to go to the nurse's station and find a notebook and thumb through it, it's on every desktop. Okay, so you can open that up directly from here. Kind of a nice feature with this is when I make updates on that, instead of me sending out, well, page 30 needs to be updated, page 20 I changed something on it. This is automatically updated. Whenever I make an update on it, it's updated here. Okay, so I think I'm going to pull over Google Chrome because it's where I'm at with this other one. So, really neat feature about some of these Word doc programs that we're using now is give it some time. Well, it went straight to tornado, but I do want to show you something here at the beginning. It's loading, guys. Give it a second here. Whenever you're ready. Okay. Okay. Come on. There we go. All right, in your table of contents. So this is the new Emergency Preparedness and Disaster Plan that I talked about at the beginning of the presentation. Okay, so it's set up differently than ours has been in the past. But as you go down through the first portions, and we're not covering the whole plan today, you'll start seeing some links. So really cool about these electronic forms that you have on your desktop, and you can come directly to this, is those links, instead of having to look through the side panel or scroll through it, these links will take you directly to a policy. Okay? So if I wanted to see the tornado policy, then I'm going to come and click on tornado, and there's the link for it. It's going to take me directly to the tornado policy. Okay? So kind of a neat way for you to be able to navigate instead of having to search through the whole book, as it were, or now the whole file on the computer. Okay? So we covered Tornado Watch there, but I do want to give a little bit of time to, my goodness, this thing's jumping around on me. This is obviously not my keyboard. Okay. Tornado warning. I do want to cover some things here. For day shift, what does the staff do? Wherever you're at, you want to assist down your neighborhood or your area of the building and getting residents to protected areas, and then you may proceed to the basement. The charge nurse or somebody in charge during the day over at nursing is responsible for activating all PC alert. Okay? And then they're to stay at the nurse's station and give direction. This is the charge person. Now here on day shift, I have charge nurse there. Really, it's who's ever taking charge. It might be the DON if it's during the day. Okay? When residents are safe, they may proceed to the basement. This would be the staff members may proceed to the basement. Team member in charge will also need to use phone tree for resident notification. Remember, for tornadoes, we want to let our residents in independent living know they need to get to shelter. That's what that saved message is going to send them, okay? Within phone tree, you simply select specific list and send saved message. Activities and social services, along with housekeeping, assist in the neighborhood area that they're working, and may proceed to the basement. Laundry department, they check the therapy and the game rooms, assist residents, and then go to the basement or safe area. Dietary department is responsible for their own dining rooms and the cafe, warning community members that there's a tornado, obviously. Encourage them to come to our secure locations, and then they may go to the basement as well. Office staff is responsible to go to assisted living. Assisting residents there is a little bit different than assisting residents over here, right, Ginger? Because there's not as much staff down there. So that's where we want you guys to go and address that. And then maintenance and administration will go to the villas and congregate apartments just as kind of an added security for them. Right, we are sending the phone tree out, but if there's time, we want to make sure that they're getting to safety. It's a little bit different for evening and night shift, obviously. We still want to activate all PC alert. We still want to activate phone tree. But then if you do require that extra help, remember there in phone tree, there's a way to reach out to the community. Okay, that would be if you need help with evacuation, there's a way to reach out to the community. I think there's 7 people on that list. Candy Swatsky and a few people, even here in this room, I think, Jody, that would be called to come and assist with that. So just remember that for the after hours time. Dietary, if you're still here, I know you work till 7 or so, you'll go help getting the residents to cover and then get to safety as well. Night shift, CNA and CMA or CMA and memory care will get the residents to safety and stay with them to help keep them calm. Charge nurse activates our communication systems. Again, if you need extra help, you have the opportunity or option to do that within our phone tree. That's what I wanted to do. Okay. And just a couple of things here. Systematically, you want to go down the halls. This is how you would do an evacuation or making sure people get to safety for tornadoes. Okay. Go down the halls, moving residents to the appropriate places. If you've emptied a room, you put a post-it note, right, from the fire extinguisher boxes indicating only that that room has been evacuated. Okay. These will be found in the fire extinguisher boxes. Close the door when resident refuses to move for their safety. After all rooms are checked once, go back into rooms where doors have no post-it notes and attempt to move those residents that refuse as time allows, okay? As time allows. Nursing facility residents, we want ambulatory and wheelchair residents should be placed in their restrooms. Bedfast residents will need the bed wheeled out into the corridor, a blanket placed over them to eliminate injury from flying objects, and close the door to their room. You want to make sure, just like at all times, that anything that you have in the hallway is on both sides of the wall. No, all on one side, right? So that the means of egress is there. Okay. Residents in the corridors need to be placed at significant distance from windows. Make sure corridors are free of objects that could become flying projectiles. Staff may go to the basements after residents are to safety. Please move any necessary medical information to the med room as well. I know we don't have the med charts anymore, but if there's still some things that we need to keep safe, please move those to the med room. Memory care, a little bit different back there. Residents and staff will be situated as best as they can in the housekeeping closet or in the Heartland Spa with the door closed. Residents may be placed in their bathrooms if they desire. Again, this is for tornadoes. Common areas, if in dining rooms or activity room, we want to try to get them back to their own restrooms. If in the beauty shop, they can go to the public restroom or by dining rooms until an all clear is given. And then in every area, we want to make sure that all of our residents are accounted for. A lot easier to do when we're all here during the day, but it's very important for any emergency situation that we're keeping track of where all of our residents are. Listen for an all clear to be given on the radio or by the person in charge before resuming normal activities. Just for information, the city does not give an all clear for tornadoes. Okay. Assisted living, residents should go to their bathrooms if they're located on the inside wall, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Residents that don't have bathrooms on the inside wall should go to the laundry or storm shelter room. The colored door hangers will be placed on the doors after residents vacated from their apartment or in their bathrooms. The door hangers are located in the fire extinguisher boxes. The apartments that don't have inside bathroom walls will be marked with a magnet on their door frame that says LR. And that stands for laundry room, and that's where they should go instead of their bathrooms, because their bathrooms are on an outside wall and we feel like not as protected. Any residents that are in common areas in the dining or activity room, they need to go to their bathrooms or the laundry room, and the hair salon to the nearest public restrooms. Again, are all residents accounted for. Congregate, those who can go to the basement do so. The rest should go to the storm shelter room at the south end of the hall by the shop, which is actually an exercise room now, not a shop. But down towards the south end of the facility, it says storm shelter right on the door. Villa residents, they also are in that list that get the phone tree call, okay? But they're advised to take cover in their bathroom with the door closed. If they feel more comfortable to go to the office wing basement, they're able to use the west entry double doors before it gets too stormy. And those that wanted keys upon admission ask for them as part of their admission, and they have a key to get in that door if it is after hours. All right. Take a breath. A lot of information. Okay. Again, not really going to do question and answers, but please, if you're having questions about some of this stuff, please don't hesitate to write that stuff down, and we'll get to that stuff later. I did not mean to close that down. Here we go. Fire disaster procedures. Okay. This one's a little bit more. Okay. Fires are serious. We all know that, right? Fires are very serious. Thinking about what to do in case of a fire is imperative for our organization, because we not only have the lives of the people in this room, like all businesses have their staff to think about. We're a little different. We have the lives of our staff to think about, but probably more importantly, we have the lives of our residents who call this place their home. So that's always on our mind, isn't it, as long-term care providers? We're always thinking about our residents. So I do want, and I wanted to start off saying fires are serious because there's a however in there. I do want you to realize how well protected our facility is. We're really well protected when it comes to fires. You know, we all get upset about regulations sometimes and all of that, but for the most part, they're good. They're good. They're for good reason. So the safeguards that we have in place for fire prevention are very adequate, and adherence to the state and federal regulations really keep us well protected. You know, some of the safeguards that we have, if you look around the room right here, those of you who are in orientation with me not long ago, I always use this, so you'd be like, you said that a couple weeks ago. But there are sprinkler heads right here, right here in this room, and our whole facility is sprinkled. There's not an area of our facility that's not sprinkled, okay? Even our attic space is sprinkled, okay? So if there is a fire, okay, if there was a fire right here, right here, okay? I'm so glad I heard a group shower, because that's not what would happen. That's what Hollywood shows you, right? This one goes off and the whole building's going off, right? That's not what would happen. These are heat sensors. They're heat protected, okay? So the flame from this fire right here, because I'm on fire. The flame from this fire right here would and could, by heat, break the bulb of that fire sprinkler, okay? And it would spray the fire that's right here. The fire would have to be so overpowering to build past what that 70 gallons a minute through a little 3/4 inch line could put out, to grow past and get another one. Okay, so it's kind of something I really try to point at, because we all kind of have a false sense of how fire sprinklers work. Okay, so wherever the fire starts in our entire facility, we have fire sprinkler coverage. That's a huge safeguard. That's a huge safeguard. We have fire walls that separate all of our facility compartments. Some are smoke barriers, where we're keeping an area containing the smoke, which obviously or actually more people die from smoke inhalation in fires than people that die from burns. So that smoke zone's very important as well. We have fire doors. Even our resident rooms, they're actually a 20-minute fire door. That's why when we're coming to the area that we're having a fire drill, right, what do? We shut the resident fire doors because they're 20-minute rated. It would take a fire 20 minutes to go past that door into that resident room. Okay. We have extinguishing devices. Another really important one is we have a monitoring company. Anytime any of our smoke detectors go off, anytime we have a trouble alarm, which we've had some, I get a call. They call, even at 2 in the morning, they call. Okay, so we have a monitoring company that keeps track of our facility as well. We have many, many, many safeguards in place, and we're a very well-protected facility. That's an exciting thing. That's a good thing. It's a good. Everybody say that's a good thing.
Good thing.
I'm a preacher. That's what we do. All right. All right. So good. Let's go back to the emergency preparedness manual and let's just look at the fire disaster procedures. How am I doing? About 5 minutes. About 5 minutes. Wow, I really talked that long. Okay. All right. We are not going to spend a long time on this, but here's a one-pager. Okay, fire disaster procedures. When a fire alarm goes off, what's the first thing we want to do? What? We want to find out where the fire is, right? If you hear the alarm going off, your first thought should be, where is this fire at, right? So I'm going to go where to find that?
Fire panel.
The fire panel or any of the enunciator panels any of our nurses station. Amen. That's what we need to know, okay? Good. Then we go to our acronym, which is RACE. And what does it stand for? R stands for rescue. A stands for alarm. C stands for contain. That's always the hard one, right? And E stands for evacuate. I'm so happy that I heard evacuate over extinguish. Evacuate needs to be your mindset, but extinguish is also part of it. Okay? So small fire, something that we can quickly put out, that's what we would want to do. But evacuate needs to be our mindset because we not only care for ourselves here, we care for our residents. We make sure that they are getting to safety before we ever fight a fire, right?
Right.
Okay. I told you I wasn't going to make that one long. Wasn't going to make that one long. So, good. Good. I do not have much time, so I'm going to move forward here. All right, let's get back to the presentation. And the next one is SDS. What does SDS stand for?
Safety data sheet.
Safety data sheets, okay? Remember, these are things that you can stay fresh on by locating the icons on the PC. I showed you before on this PC, there's the SDS, what is it? A red circle with a exclamation point. So if you ever want to go look at our SDS and see all the chemicals we have in our facility, you click that icon and you're right there, okay? Find this icon on the desktop, double click it, go to the product or chemical search field, enter one of the products listed on the Word document. This is the training piece here. Click on the S to the left of the product you selected. You're now taken to that SDS in a different web page. Let's walk through this instead of me just reading it because you guys probably are like, Nate, what are you talking about? So, real quickly here, we're at the desktop. Here's our red circle with an exclamation point. We're going to open it up and it's going to log in directly. You don't have to worry about any logins, but we're right here. Okay, all of our chemicals are listed down here, but why would you want to sort through 140 chemicals? You don't, right? You don't. So any chemical that you're dealing with, you simply come up to the chemical product name and you start typing it in. And the one I think of is bleach all the time. So bleach. Anything with the keyword bleach is going to come down here in the list provided. So right here, Clorox regular bleach 1 tells you some basic information there, but our safety data sheet is this S on a piece of paper file over here just to the left. And so you click on that. Maybe. Click on that and it will pull up the file for you. We like fast computers, don't we? That's what we're having an issue with. That's okay. All right, so this sheet came right here, right? Okay, pulled up right there. The numbers that you want to have focus on, or sections that you want to focus on, are section 1, which is the identification of the substance. Okay, it tells you the manufacturer, it tells you the phone number, those type of things that you need to know about that specific chemical right away. So section 1, does anybody know the other section that's really important? 4. Section 4. And for our intents and purposes, what we really need the SDS for more than anything else is first aid, right? First aid measures, okay? So for bleach, it tells me what to do if I get it in my eye. Now, if I got bleach in my eye, I'll probably need Ginger to help me figure out what do I do, because I can't read this if I got bleach in my eye. Okay. Tells you what to do if you get it in your eye, if you get it on your skin, if you inhale it, if you ingest it. Any of those categories are on every chemical in our entire facility. That's what the SDS sheet is for. Okay? So that's how you go and assess or access that file. Okay. All right. That's SDS. That's SDS. I have one more thing I'd like to talk about, and this is my last thing, and I think I'm staying pretty close to my 45 minutes, so kind of hard to get through all this at once. But I just want to remind all staff that there are certain situations that need to be addressed immediately. I think all of us would agree with that. This list is accessible in the daily logbook for nursing staffs. If we need to put it in more places, then we can do that, okay? But this is the must-call list, and it's a little more inclusive than what I have here, but here's just the highlights. These highlights are explained in that must-call list, but anything really with the call lights or the all-call server that's not functioning like it's supposed to, that's something we have to call. Got to call right away, okay? If the roam alert doors aren't functioning correctly, okay, that means that we could have somebody eloping. That's really, really important. Got to call about that, no matter what time it is, okay? And then anything with the fire system. If the panel's going nuts, you need to call. Any time that you have anything with the fire system that's not working properly, that's not something you put in work sub. Can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. It is something you put in work sub, but it is something that you call. Okay, this is the must call. You must call us about this. And this would be myself. Call me. My number is on the must call. And this is the one that I've seen twice in the last month actually. If there is a utility emergency, okay, that's kind of a broad statement, but if the power goes out, even if the generator comes on, you have power, you still need to call. You still need to let me know. If you have a water leak, you've got to call if there's a water leak. Okay, that's kind of a big deal actually. So any utility emergency like that, if you smell gas, and one time we actually had carbon monoxide being dumped into our facility from one of our rooftop units. And thankfully, one of the staff was like, this doesn't smell right over here, and we were able to address it. I was actually on my way to, I don't remember where it was, Oklahoma or something with my youth group, but we got the call, and Keith had to talk to they came out and did a report in the newspaper and all that. I mean, kind of a big deal. So any type of utility emergency, you want to let us know right away so we can come and address that situation. Okay, well, hopefully that wasn't too rough to end with, but I'm going to say I'm done at that point, okay? And we've gone about 45 minutes here, so we're going to go ahead and transition over to Carla.
Did everybody get one of these policy sheets? Have you got one?
This won't take 45 minutes. So you all know that we've been dealing with peak for the last few years, and we have various things that we are trying to comply with, and so this is just a piece that came up that we need to be thinking about. And when we first looked at it, we thought, oh, what is the point of this? But the more we got familiar with it, the more it's making sense. So this is customer service and risk management. Seems like two different things, but they really do have something to do with each other. Empowering staff members to support residents. This is kind of the statement. Residents who manage their own care plans are and should always feel that they are responsible for and in control of their own affairs, just as much as any other adult can be. And our role in that is to act as an advocate for residents. And so what does that mean on a day-to-day basis? How do we put that idea into practice? Well, let's compare it to a real-life customer service issue. Does this look familiar? All seen this? There's only one place open, and you're hungry, and everything on the menu looks something like this.
Yes.
But what you really want is something kind of like this. And so you ask the counter person, can I substitute a salad for fries? I'd like something lighter. This is you. The guy at the counter says, huh? Because that's the guy at the counter. That's the look you get, right? And he says, I don't know. Let me ask my shift manager. And so he walks away. And you're standing there waiting. So you wait. And you wait. And you stand there waiting, wondering if the shift manager is going to let you have a salad. And maybe you begin to wish you hadn't asked at all. The shift manager comes over and gives you the stink eye, and you get the feeling that you've interrupted him. He was doing something important. You want something light? We got ice cream. How about some ice cream? And you say, no, I just want to substitute a salad for fries. So the shift manager mutters something under his breath and heads for the back office. Will he come back? Will you get an answer to your question? You don't know. And then the store manager pops from the back and strides toward you. We can substitute salad, he says, but there will be a 50-cent upcharge. Is that all, you ask? And you wonder why it took 3 people just for you to get an order changed. And by the time you get your order, you begin to think it was hardly worth the effort. And how does that make us feel? Have you had a situation like that ever, any kind? Not necessarily fast food, but someplace where you want to, raise your hand, come on. Pretty much everybody can relate, okay. And you feel one of these ways. You feel one of these ways. So how can we provide better customer service for our residents? That never happens. That's just the one that you remember, right? But how do we do better than that? What's our attitude when a resident makes an unusual request and we don't know the answer?
Give them what they
And
want.
what do we do when we see a resident attempt something that might possibly be dangerous? So these are 2 separate questions, but we're going to try and answer both. We're going to seek the healthy balance between the resident's desires and our responsibility. And what do we do when we see a resident attempt something that might possibly be dangerous? Well, monitoring the risk involved in residents' actions is a responsibility of every team member, every one of us. And we need to recognize that residents have the right to try to do things for themselves. They have the right to try. Is that always the right thing? We need to use friendly, helpful language. We need to be respectful. We need to emphasize our desire to help over the residents' need for that help. In other words, okay, here's the example. I'm sure you can pick that paper up from the floor, but I'm right here. Please let me help. I like being useful. I enjoy being useful. Which would you rather hear? That or, don't do that, are you crazy? You had a fall last week. You could fall down. Do you want to hear that? Nobody wants to hear that. How does it make you feel? Like that screen where people were doing this, right? And what's our attitude when a resident makes an unusual request and we don't know the answer? This is where this sheet comes in. This is why this sheet, okay? We're going to try and do a better job of making sure that our communication is good and that we all understand the policies that are in place. So first, adopt a positive attitude. Show an interest and concern about getting a solution for the resident's request, even if you got no idea. Even if this page doesn't do it, they've got something that we haven't thought about yet. Find a stock phrase that works for you. You probably already have one. I'll get right on that, or let me see what I can do to make that happen for you. That tells the resident that you care and you're going to find an answer. That's better than muttering under your breath and, I don't know, and walking out the door. You're going to go do something, but you haven't told the resident that. So you just walk away and they're like, am I ever going to get my salad? You know, that's the attitude, right? Become familiar with policies of the usual way various issues are handled and learn where to get the information you need to help the resident. That's what this paper is for, and that's what we're going to be developing throughout the year too. And by the way, if you get a question and it's unusual, and we haven't come up with a policy or an answer for that, make sure that your upline knows, okay? But speaking of your upline, don't defer to your upline as in, well, I'll ask, you know, whoever the person is above you. You don't need to do that to the resident. You don't have to go say, well, I'm going to go out to ask, in that case, the shift manager. That person at the front line ought to know, right? The person at the front line ought to know whether it's a 50-cent upcharge if you want something substituted, right? In that particular instance. In our instances, we ought to be empowered to answer those questions that may come up. And if we're not, then we need to work on that. So defer to your upline if that resident is pretty savvy and they want to know. So if they say, you know, I'd really like to go do something, who needs to be asked about that to make that happen? If they ask you that, tell them. But if they don't, just handle it on your own, you know. Let them know that you're going to be their contact person. They don't have to go through 3 people to get an answer, even though you may have to go through 3 people to get an answer. You see the difference? So here's examples of requests. Will you call my son? I know it's not scheduled, but I'd like to go for a ride. I just want to get outside. Can you get some money for me? I'd like a piece of cake. You know what? We can't make every one of those requests happen every time right that minute. But we can always explain in a respectful manner the reasons why a request isn't possible, whether it's not possible right now, or not possible today, or not possible at all. We can at least explain and give our residents the respect that they deserve, so that they feel like they were heard. That's the most important thing. If the guy comes back from the counter and says, I'm sorry, but we don't have salad. It isn't even, we had salad, but we ran out today, and so we don't have salad. The truck doesn't come in until 4:30 in the morning, and it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm sorry, we can't do a salad, even though it shows it on the board. Then the customer says, oh, okay, well, at least you're answering me, and I get why I can't have what I want. Thank you for that. That's better than, oh, no, and walking off, right? Or, I don't know, I'm real sorry, but you can't have what you want. We just all want to be treated like that, don't we? Yeah. So that's basically what this is. So that's what this should help you answer. Will you call my son? The policy's here. Do I need to read these out? I bet most of you have already read them, right? Probably you had a little bit beforehand if you've already read them. This is something that ought to probably be gone through if you're in a group. Probably will be gone through with, with you. But basically, just knowing who to contact in each of these situations, and making it happen for the resident whenever we can. So, are there questions? There's lots of what ifs, right? There's lots of scenarios. But basically the answer is just show respect, try to get the information, and don't make them do all the work. Do the work for them, right? Because they're who we're here for. Anything else? No? Told you it wouldn't take 25 minutes. 45 minutes. Didn't even take 25 minutes, right? Okay. That's all we got? We're ready for, is it Keith next or Rita? Londa. Okay, I just have this to say. Creating an atmosphere of respect for residents is just good customer service. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, I wanted to go over, and it kind of ties in with what both Nate and Carla have talked about, and I want to go over behaviors and the communication of the behaviors with each other. We have several residents that have behaviors on a routine basis, on a daily basis. And then we have other ones that, it's just hit and miss whenever something might happen. But we need to make sure that when something happens, and this can be a behavior, this could be even a fall, we need your information. We need it, and we need it as soon as possible. But what we need is we need the facts. We don't, at that point, want your feelings. Okay, do you guys know the difference between the facts and feelings and putting your emotions into it? If you feel like, say one resident hit another resident, that intent right away. Let's not worry about that right away. Our first one is making sure they're safe, but then we need to get that communication of what happened, okay? To the charge nurse, care manager, myself, whoever that person might be. Okay, the other thing is that is who you need to talk to. You need to talk to, that designated person and not everybody that you come in contact with. Because then what happens then is, if you tell one person one thing, what happens if it goes through 20 more people? It changes. It goes from something that, yeah, it happened, it's really no big deal, to something that's really blown out of proportion. And so then you have to weed through all that. And that just takes time and energy, honestly, to figure out, because we don't want to miss something, okay, or disregard it, okay? So please make sure that, that you get with your charge nurse or whoever that contact person is. They're going to want your statement, okay? So be prepared to write that down. And this is going to include, anybody that has information with whatever happened, okay? We have those that wander, so if they wander that could be dietary activity, that could be Marcia, that could be the office staff, that could be anybody that we need that information, okay? And again, it's the facts. We want the facts, okay? The other thing too is that, and it was Carla kind of touched on it with the customer service. When a resident does have behaviors, and whether it's behaviors or falls or something, and I'm coming in and it's my shift, and the outgoing shift is leaving, how am I going to take if they say, oh, it was a terrible night, they were up, everything was negative, negative, negative about what happened, instead of saying the facts. We let our emotions get into it, and I'm not saying that our emotions aren't going to be there, because we are. We get frustrated, all that. But we just need to say, but she had a rough night. They had a rough day. And this is what we did, and it got better, or whatever. It's just the facts. Because what happens then is I'm going to come on, and I'm already somewhere where I don't need to be. Do you see what I'm saying? And so then I'm assuming that I'm going to have a bad night when I just got here. And that's not fair to me, it's not fair to my partners, it's not fair to the resident, that we already assume that it's going to be a bad day or a bad shift, okay? Because a resident that doesn't have behaviors should get the same kind of love and understanding that a resident that has behaviors does, okay? We just need to be able to manage both individually, okay? And so then if something happens like in the morning, and then we're in the lunchroom, and we're in the dining room, and we're talking, we're chit-chatting, don't rehash, don't talk about it. Don't talk about those resident situations. Because then other people hear that don't need to hear, because technically unless you're working on Heartland, Wheatland doesn't need to know unless they need to know, okay? Because what we're doing is we're spending time talking and conversing about something that they may not need to know, instead of doing what we really need to be doing. Now, if they need to know, like say if someone's floating over, then yes, they need to know, but again, the facts. Also be aware in the dining room that when we do talk about things, that it is a confidentiality thing. So whether you're talking about, I'm talking to Nikki in the dining room, we need to pull away to where no one can hear us, or even leave the dining room. If we take a phone call and we're in the dining room, or we're with other residents or family members or something, we need to step away and do that, because no one has a right to hear someone else's information, okay? Does anybody have any questions on that with the behaviors? Because we have to determine if it rises to the level of abuse and neglect, okay? So that's why we need the facts. Because when we report it to state, I want to be fair. And those of you guys that have unfortunately had been in a situation where we had to report something that you were involved in, you want it to be fair. Because I will side with a staff member until the evidence shows I shouldn't. Does that make sense? Okay? because we're trained. That's what we're here for. That's what the in-services are for, and the education. And I know that's why you're here, is to take care of the residents. So please make sure that when you report, be fair. And again, that's, you know, if you're reporting a staff to a resident, it's no different, okay? We have to be fair, we have to be impartial, and just state the facts, okay? Anybody have any questions? Yes?
Londa, what's your recommendation if I'm a nurse and I'm taking a phone call from a doctor and I'm in the dining room and I'm supposed to be in the dining room? How far away should I be before, so that it doesn't, so that other people aren't hearing me? I mean, right? How far can I go and still be in the dining room monitoring? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, and I would say that would have to depend on who's left in the dining room, because if the independent dining room is kind of cleared out, you could probably go over there and still be watching the rest of the dining room. Again, it's how loud you talk. I don't know about you guys, but are you guys by people on their cell phone? And they talk really loud because they think they actually have to have the person hear them, not on the phone. But, you know, instead of, you know, because it's a phone. My sister does it all the time. It's like, you're really loud. You know, so I think it would determine how it's going on, but they can even sit in that little cubby, the little cutout, you know. So I think a lot of it is how loud we talk as well. And if it needs to be, and if they need to leave, then I think they need to get someone else's attention, because I understand an emergency, a nurse may need to leave, and then go get the other nurse and have the other nurse relieve them. So, okay. Anything else? All right. I think, Keith, you're it.
Nice and cool up here. Well, we have about 10 minutes and we'll wrap up here. I don't know if you can see it. I wrote on here 86,400.
Yeah.
Let's imagine that the local bank is willing to deposit that in your account every day. You would get excited about that, wouldn't you? And each day then you would need to use that or invest it or spend it in a way, because at the end of the day that 86,400 would go away, and then the next day you would have another 86,400. So then you have to use it in a good way and spend it and so forth. You might ask, where does that number come from? Well, that's how many seconds are in one day, 86,400. So that amount of seconds each day is a gift that we have to spend on others, to invest on others in our families and people who are around. It's a gift to us that we need to use to serve, to love, to encourage others. So when I heard that number, I thought, well, that's a good thing for Sunshine Meadows, because it's each day we come back and we need to be refreshed to be able to use each second each day to really make a difference with the people that we're around. So think of that as money invested in the bank. This is even better than that. We have seconds each day to invest in people's lives. So that's a good thing. I'm going to review a couple policies and then talk about some changes and go through this. So one of them is just kind of as we're getting into summer, we think about children off from school and different things, but just children in the workforce. Our policy is pretty simple. I'll just review it here. It says team members are not allowed to bring children, family members, or friends to work during their scheduled hours, including in services. This is interruptive not only for the team member, but also for other team members and residents. As an exception to the rule is if you make arrangements ahead of time with the activity department, sometimes they can use some younger people, fourth graders and older, to help with activities, but we don't want it to be, well, school's out now, let's bring them to Sunshine Meadows and they'll babysit or take care of them. that has to be prearranged through Mel and the activity department, and they'll have some discretion. They can't have 8 or 10 at one time, and some that are more mature at 4th grade than others, and so there would be some discretion there, and there's a little paperwork, some training, and orientation to go through at that level. So that would be the only way we would encourage children to be here during the time you're working. Now, when you're off and you want to bring the kids by and visit a few residents, there's no problem with that. We encourage that, but it's just a conflict of what we do here when it's in the workforce and we have the kids here while we're on the clock. So there might be an occasional exception. We hope not too often, but if there is, the supervisor would want to monitor that. So that's one reminder. The other is with the time clock. There'll be some changes coming up here soon. Our company with the time clock is not going to support our software anymore by the end of the year, and so come August, September, October, we're going to make a switch on our time clock. It should be for the betterment, as it would be an updated clock, and it will give us different reports and more accurate reports and things like that. So a couple of things that we are watching, and one of them is the lunch breaks, and we have a good report. It seems like most everybody's clocking in and out like they need to on that, so good job with doing that. We still watch that a little bit in the business office. If we see patterns, we'll probably remind certain people about that. But what we look for is the length of time. According to the Kansas Department of Labor, we need to keep it around 30 minutes for a meal break and not really shorter than that. And then a reminder too that when you leave your workplace to take a break, that you should leave your pagers and company cell phones so you aren't bothered by a call that maybe you didn't need to get. But we want you to get away and not have to be bothered by work decisions and duties. And as you know, and as you're doing, the ping slips are there for the exceptions when we miss the break or whatever, and your supervisor needs to sign it. Some of those, most of those probably excused, and might be some unexcused actually. But I think overall that's going well. So I just want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing on that. Some other changes. One is in Sunny's, a software program. We're in the process of doing some implementation and training with the point of sales for Sunny's. So it does a lot more things for us. It gives us a meal count in each of the dining rooms in Sunny's. It allows us to, like bake sales and galas and stuff, to charge it through Sunny's and keep that all separate. Gives us a lot more accurate reports so we can have a good handle on that. So that's also happening, just to keep Sunny's going in the right direction there with the accounting. That was, we felt we needed to do that. Then we're working at changing pharmacies as well. That'll be coming up here. I think we've set a date for June 4th. So another change. We really didn't anticipate the change to Omnicare, and now that we have them, it's probably going better than it did at the beginning, but we still want to do better than that. So we plan to go with Auburn, which is kind of a takeoff of Preston with a lot of the same employees and so forth out of Wichita. So we anticipate that being good, but there'll be some work going on the next couple of weeks. And then there'll be some implementation, data entry, and then June 4th around that we do go live. So it'll be fairly simple, compared to what we're doing, but it will be a change as well. And then over the years we've talked about our capital campaign. We've stepped back a little bit and want to refocus on that. We have a guy coming in next week to make has appointments made in 2 weeks. Is it coming up soon? He's coming in to interview 15 to 20 potential donors just to get a feel for what they think about our. It would be like our dementia unit, a memory care unit for our assisted living, and it would be kind of a unique one. You haven't seen one like this in Kansas that has unique features and technology and stuff to it. So we're trying to get some donors excited about it and then do a capital campaign to raise funds to build this unit if there's enough interest. And so that's going to be happening here in the next month, during the next month. By the end of May, we should know if that's kind of a green light or if we have to make some adjustments going forward on that. So exciting, but again, a lot of a lot of work to make that all happen. Paul has been setting up appointments. He will stay in our bed and breakfast while he's here, so he'll experience a full campus experience as he stays here. Just a reminder on employee parking lot, and we need to paint lines again, but there's these portable concrete curbs, and so when you pull in closer to the building, make sure you kind of pull in by those and not take 2 spaces, because we're limited for spaces, and then by the railroad ties. There should be patterns of how to park, again, be courteous and try to not take too much space. Maintenance, I'll have them repaint those yellow lines on those ties this spring, so we have a little better feel how that should line up. So, and we're trying to reserve this inner parking lot here for our guests, for the campus that come in, and for Sunny's customers, and just loading and unloading buses and things. So we would want to limit the employee parking here and keep that in the back parking lot. So, appreciate you working with us on that. This next thing is a little more concerning. Tom refers to it as a perfect storm, but it has to do with financial status that we're currently in, have been in for a little while. But last fall we had an audit with from Medicaid. They come in and they go through all the paperwork with our Medicaid program and so forth, and they're doing, I think, as far as I know, in Kansas, all the homes within a 5-year period, so everybody will be going through this. But the long and short of it is they came in and we spent a lot of time with that, and they found that they had overpaid us. So now there's some money we have to pay back, and so we weren't prepared for that, and so we have to figure out kind of how to do that. And then that's also, it's based on our costs, so we have, it's not just a nursing home here, we got assisted living and independent living, and we need to allocate accordingly, housekeeping, administrative costs, utilities, and so forth. So they're saying we need to put some more cost in the assisted living and independent living and less on nursing, and in reality it isn't quite that way, but that means they reimburse us less because less cost to reimburse for in their estimation. So we're dealing with that, and then in February, March, we had a dip in census by 9 in 30 days, which was substantial, and we seem to gain 3 or 4 and lose 2 or 3, and so today's been kind of a challenge, as most of you know. We had 2 ambulance runs into Bueller, and one of our residents passed away this afternoon, and another one's in the emergency room. And my father's in the emergency room too, I believe, so it's just kind of a tough day. Our marshal here, so it's a lot happening. And then we've had a tight budget in the last year anyhow, and going to the new year, we've had to get a line of credit to borrow some money just for cash flow. So we found some of our problem was with our financial management firm that we used out of Western Kansas, and they weren't giving us expertise that we needed and advice that we were wishing they would. And so we made a switch, going with another company in Nebraska for some of our reporting and some of our analytical stuff we need to look at as far as labor and our expenditures and things like that. So we hope that will help. But there's a group we pulled together. It's the executive management team of 6 key staff people here that will have been working on this for a couple weeks now to try to figure out where we can enhance some revenues and where we'll need to cut back some in our budget as well. So we're looking at some pretty serious things, but we'll have some things to announce here down the road a little bit. But we wanted to make you aware of just the general perfect storm that we're kind of facing with some of those finances. Everything was hitting at the same time, so it does put a little burden, quite a burden on our cash flow. I think the last thing I have to report then is a little bit update on my status. Some exciting things. My daughter's getting married not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. It is an outdoor wedding, so you know what the last weekend's been, don't you? So we get a little nervous about that, but we hope that it's going to turn out well. Just 15 minutes ago, I got a call from my doctor in Euromed, a doctor team actually. That's where I've been doing my cancer treatments for lymphoma. And so I got a little report on the PET scan there. So I was expecting good news twice, and I got good news and then some news that wasn't quite as encouraging. But the good news is the PET scan, I mean, they were excited more than I was, I guess. But I've been feeling good, looking good, people say. I haven't been wanting to keep my weight on, but they were excited, said everything's going the right direction. It's looking good, you're on the right track. You need to keep doing what we've been doing. He said, tell me more, and I knew what he was telling me. That means I got to go back a little bit. I was anticipating a good report, but I was also anticipating going back maybe 2-3 times this year for more treatment. But for the next 90 days, I got to go back every 12 days for another series of 3 or 4 days of treatment. So that was, I guess, quite disappointing for me anyhow. I'll be doing that, so I'll be in and out quite a bit. And they said, cancer's not all gone, we still need to keep working at it, so we hope in 90 days that we can slow that process down and do less of that. So, don't mind going to Phoenix and all that, but this is not FDA approved treatment, so it gets expensive every time we get down there. So I wanted to give you an update, just got that news here just 15 minutes ago, so that's the latest. You more than my wife knows on that. Any questions, anything I missed? Well, Sam had to leave a little early today. David's situation that has its highs and its lows, it seems like. I think what I'd like to do to close the in-service is, since this has been a heavy day and just different things, I think I'm going to just close it in prayer, if you don't mind. I'm going to do that and we'll move forward. Lord, we know you're in charge. You created us. You made us for a purpose. Help us to count our seconds each day and to live with purpose each day. Help us to do that well here at Sunshine Meadows, as that's our mission. We just pray for the families that deal with residents that are declining and on the hospice and maybe have passed away recently. Pray for those in the hospital and emergency room currently. Just pray for the fire marshal as he's here, that he might give us a good report as he leaves. Just thank you for the good report on my health, and yet just kind of the future, near future, is just a lot of trips yet. So we just pray for understanding in that and peace in that as well. So we know that you work everything out for your good and your purpose, and we just trust you for that, individually and corporately. So we pray this in thy name. Amen. Thanks for coming.
Drop time in, please.